How to handle the energies of Saturn Mahadasha in astrology. All right. Now, people are dreaded, people are scared when they look at their Mahadasha sequence and they find out that Jupiter Mahadasha is going to get over and Saturn Mahadasha is on the cards. It's approaching you fast, all right. And your anxiety levels, all right, they're just tripping, and you're wondering whether you have it in you, whatever it takes to handle the intensities of Saturn Mahadasha. Now, Saturn can be exalted in your horoscope, Saturn can be debilitated in your horoscope, Saturn can be in own sign, or it can be in the 6th house, 8th house, or 12th house. Any scenario, all right. But if Saturn Mahadasha is about to begin, which means you need a certain level of maturity and you need a certain level of course correction, all right. And I am going to tell you about how Saturn Mahadasha affects us, how to make the transition from Jupiter Mahadasha to Saturn Mahadasha. All right. So if you are game for this, let's get into this amazing topic called how to handle the energies of Saturn Mahadasha in your horoscope. All right. So I would like to start this video by reciting the stotra of Lord Shani. Om Neelanjana Samabhasam Raviputram Yamagrajam Chaya Martanda Sambhutam Tam Namami Saneshcharam. All right. So first you have to understand that Saturn is not a planet which is always wanting to give you hardship and sorrows. Or if Saturn is there, he will only punish you, right? Only give you anxieties and tension. No. Saturn is here to give you the fruits of your karma. All right. If you have done good karma in your past life, then Saturn can bless you with wealth, prosperity, all right, abundance. Trust me, because Saturn not only rules the 10th house Capricorn, it also rules the 11th house Aquarius, and it also rules one of the most auspicious nakshatra in the zodiac, which is Pushya nakshatra. When Jupiter goes into Pushya, it's a Guru Pushya. When Sun goes to Pushya nakshatra, it becomes Ravi Pushya, right? So Pushya nakshatra, and also when Moon goes to Pushya nakshatra, that day is chosen for specific benefic activities, right? So Saturn is misjudged or misinterpreted, and that's why a lot of business is happening in the name of Sadesati is going to come. You have to do remedies, otherwise you're gone. Or Shani Mahadasha has started, and now you have to do these yagya, puja, etc., etc., etc. Otherwise, you're going to go for a roller coaster ride, all right? But Saturn Mahadasha is the best Mahadasha possible if you are able to align yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually with the energies of Shani. All right. So when you are going through Jupiter Mahadasha, all right, you will see that you have this bubble of protection. All right. You are very light mentally, emotionally, unless you have a very badly afflicted Jupiter. But like majority cases, Jupiter Mahadasha is always encompassing, warm, supportive, all right, and you are always in the pursuit of either education or knowledge or wisdom, and your needs are taken care of. Maybe your parents, maybe your spouse, or maybe inheritance or whatever. But or let's say you are doing a job somewhere and your income, your salary is stable, all right. So during Jupiter Mahadasha, you have been pampered, you have been protected, and you have always felt special, or you have always felt like a chosen one who is like some entity or some energy is protecting you. All right. When Saturn Mahadasha comes, when you are at the Dasha Sandhi, that is Jupiter Mahadasha, Rahu Antardasha, at that time you are peaking in gaining the wisdom and knowledge. All right. Which is going to be applied during Shani Mahadasha. All right. So when Shani Mahadasha starts, all right, Saturn, it has got a nature that Saturn will first give you the results of Capricorn in the first half of the Saturn Mahadasha. So let's say if Saturn Mahadasha is 19 years, all right. So for roughly, let's say 9.5 years, all right, you are gonna get hit by Saturn, all right. Hardships, difficult situation, survival fears. How will I survive without the support of my parents, or without the support of my elder brother, or without the support of my spouse? So here during Saturn Mahadasha, now you are thinking about paying your bills. Now you are thinking about survival. Now you are thinking about how you will be able to run the show by yourself, because your responsibility and maybe the responsibility of other people around you are also falling on your shoulders during Saturn Mahadasha. All right. So the rosy, cozy, merry, happy go lucky life is over, and now you are practical. All right. So the same person, which is you, during Guru Mahadasha will be like, okay, let's go party, let's have dinner here, uh, and let's go to this spiritual place, etc., etc. But when Saturn Mahadasha will come and knock your door and the door opens, you'll be like, I cannot go for party because if I don't work, how will I pay my bill? All right. Consider the life of a rickshaw puller who is pulling a auto rickshaw or a cycle rickshaw or whatever, either driving a auto rickshaw or pulling a manual cycle rickshaw or something like that. If he takes a leave of one day, he is clueless about how he's going to survive the other day. All right. How things are going to be for him the next day, right? Because money has to be earned, because now you are in survival mode. If you're not working, if you're not punctual, if you're not regular, then you're going to crack under the pressure of Saturn Mahadasha. All right. Whatever karma has been assigned to you, wherever Saturn is sitting, if it is in the first house, you have to work on your health, your personality, your confidence. If Saturn is placed in your second house, your karma is to support and fulfill the needs of your family. You will be the only person who will be the earning member of the family, and your income will be such that not only you'll be depending upon it, but your family members will also be depending upon it. All right. If Saturn is in your fourth house, then you'll be someone who is like always wanting to have your own house or have your own vehicle, which is your need, which is not your luxury. And maybe your parents were not able to construct or repair a house. And now during Saturn Mahadasha, it's a situation where if you don't construct that house or if you don't repair that house, then you might go to the streets also. All right. Now, Saturn is not so difficult always. If Saturn is aspected by malefics like Rahu or Ketu, or if Saturn is conjunct with malefics like Rahu or Ketu, or let's say a debilitated Mars or a debilitated Sun, then the story changes and the hardship increases. All right. But if Saturn is under the influence of benefics, let's say it's conjunct with benefics like Jupiter or Venus or Mercury, all right, or let's say except Moon, because when Saturn and Moon are conjunct together, it becomes a wish yoke, because Moon is like a rabbit and Saturn is like a, let's say, a tortoise or a porcupine, right? So it's a very soft planet, Moon, very fun-loving planet, very chanchal. You know, so how rabbit is, it jumps from this side to that side to that side, and Saturn is like very slow, very fixed. He will do what he wants to do only. He'll do it slowly only. All right. So when you're gearing up for Saturn Mahadasha, the funny thing is that half the time you have lost the battle during Saturn Mahadasha because fear psychosis gets the better of you. All right. Just like during COVID, all right, uh, everybody were having smart watches which used to show the oxygen saturation, all right, and we never checked our oxygen saturation, all right, generally in our lives, but because there was some virus called COVID which had, let's say, a mortality rate of 1% or something like that, and when, let's say, we got affected by cold or something else which had a similar symptom like COVID, we would just check our oxygen saturation. Okay, it's 95%. That's it, I'm going to go. That's it. Now I'm going to become bedridden and I would need oxygen supply. I have to go and lie down in a hospital. All right. So, similarly, during Saturn Mahadasha, the tactical advantage is that when the bubble of Jupiter Mahadasha is bursting, all right, and when you're entering into Saturn Mahadasha, if you're psychologically strong and if you're very practical like Shani, that whatever the hell will happen to me, is meant to happen to me, and no matter what I do, I am destined to confront my karma, my karma phal. If it is a good karma phala, I have to go through that good karma phal. If it's a bad karma phal, I have to go through the bad karma phal. Yes, remedies are there, mantras are there, temples are there, pacification methods are there, but first of all, you have to approach Saturn Mahadasha, all right, with the tactical, strong psychological mindset that no matter what, I will not be deterred, and I will be victorious, and I will conquer my roadblocks. All right. So, if you are entering Saturn Mahadasha with a psychological mindset, and anyhow, Saturn will make you practical. Okay. So, when you are entering into Saturn Mahadasha with this mindset, half the war is already won here, because if somebody has to lose in a battle, he has to first lose here, fight or flight. Whether should I fight or should I run away? All right. And 90% of the times people always want flight. I don't want to confront my problems, I don't want to confront responsibilities. What will happen if my parents are not there? What will happen if let's say my child gets a job in abroad in a foreign country and leaves, and who will take care of me? So all these survival fears now. So during Saturn Mahadasha, you will realize that you're on your own. All right, there is nobody to support you. People will say that, okay, don't worry, take care, if you need something, then you can just let me know, but that is not a heartfelt assurance. You know that, right? That let's say you become bankrupt, you cannot ask your friend every day or every month to pay your credit card bills, or to pay your monthly EMIs or something like that. All right, you are on your own during Saturn Mahadasha. All right, the next thing is that the Shani Mahadasha, Shani Antardasha, all right, that is the litmus test. All right, Shani Mahadasha, Shani Antardasha, because you will have Shani, 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 Mercury, Shani, Shani, Ketu, Shani, Shani, Venus, Saturn, Saturn, Sun, Saturn, Saturn, Moon, Saturn, Saturn, Mars, Saturn, Saturn, Rahu, then Saturn, Saturn, Jupiter. Okay. So, your entire 19 years of Saturn Mahadasha, God is giving you an opportunity to understand how Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, Saturn Pratyantar Dasha is affecting you, how Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, and Mercury Pratyantar Dasha is affecting you, because it's like a summary. Like in our school, when we used to be in class 9, 10, we used to PC writing, right? That you have to read a big paragraph and we have to make it small. I think that's PC writing only, right? Similarly, Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, and Pratyantardasha, the third layer of the Antardasha, it is showing your trailer of what kind of an experience you're going to get during Saturn Mahadasha, Mercury Antardasha, Saturn Mahadasha, Ketu Antardasha. All right. Now you will be dreaded and psychologically worrying, okay, Saturn Ketu is going to come, this can happen, etc., etc. But if you see, during Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, and Ketu Pratyantardasha, if the time was okay, if you are not very badly affected or mauled by Ketu, then Saturn Ketu is not going to be that harsh on you, all right? So, if you want to know the experience how Saturn Mahadasha, Venus Antardasha is going to be, or Saturn Mahadasha, Moon Antardasha is going to be, you just have to look at how the story was, the chapter was during Saturn, three layers: Saturn, Saturn, Mercury, Saturn, Saturn, Ketu, Saturn, Saturn, Venus. Once you look at that, you will be able to understand that, hey, I think maybe Saturn was harsh on me. Saturn, Saturn, Saturn. That is three layers of Saturn. But Saturn, Mercury was probably good for me. I got a promotion, or the debts got solved, or maybe I got a promotion or something like that. All right. So first, psychological, tactical advantage: oxygen saturation, like falling, Saturn, Mahadasha, coming. No, don't do that. You have to be strong. Whatever may come, they say when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. All right. Similarly, when Saturn comes, you just confront that, okay, Saturn is coming here, I'm here to undergo my karmas. At the end of the day, people just forget psychologically that we were born, we did our education, now we are, let's say, in our youth, or whatever age you are, then you have to go through your middle age, you have to go through old age, you have to lose people, you have to undergo diseases, then you have to die. Do you think wearing any number of gemstones, or do you think by uh, doing mantra japa and yagya and whatever, you're going to permanently become immortal. No, right? At the end of the day, Dasha Meherban, Gadha Pahalwan. That is, if you're going through a favorable planet Mahadasha, whatever you want, that will happen. But if you're going through a unfavorable planet Mahadasha, then whatever that planet wants, he will make you dance according to his tantrums now. All right. So this is the second part. I'm giving you, or God is giving you, a method through which you are able to analyze that, okay, the Saturn Mahadasha, Saturn Antardasha, and various layers of Pratyantardasha, how they are treating me. That is like a summary. All right. That is like an inference of what is going to happen in the remaining 17 years. Sorry, 16 years of Saturn Mahadasha, like Saturn Mercury, Saturn Ketu, etc., etc. All right. Then you have to see the position of Saturn in your house. All right. In which particular house Saturn is placed, whether he is placed in the Kendras or whether he is placed in the fifth house and ninth house. All right. Because Kendras are pillars. If Saturn is placed in the first house, you will always have health and personality crisis. If Saturn is placed in a fourth house, you will always have property issues, or mother's health will be problematic, or your house can be old, your car can always get repaired. All right, something like that. If Saturn is in the seventh house, you're going to have a very cold married life, very practical, cold, exchange based married life. All right. And if Saturn is in your 10th house, whatever you do, you're not going to get quick promotions, you're not going to get quick appreciation, you're not going to get power very quickly, and you have to go like slow, like a tortoise, one by one. So when you'll be 60, 70 years old, at that time you'll be in your peak of your career. Whereas when a person has a Mercury or a Sun or a Mars, like fast moving planets in the 10th house, they'll quickly, at the young age itself, they'll go to the top of the food chain. All right. So having Saturn in Kendras definitely affects you. All right. And after that, if you have Saturn in your fifth house, you'll always have love crisis, and you'll always be running behind the responsibility of your children, or you love someone who is a little bit cruel, maybe, and you'll not be able to get that romantic association, and because of that, you will always feel suffer and you'll feel frustration. All right. Similarly, if Saturn is your ninth house, then divine grace is not going to favor you, gurus are not going to support you, exams are going to be difficult, college life can become a little bit delay oriented, difficult. All right. Education becomes a problem. All right. Well, let's say Saturn is in the sixth house, eighth house, or 12th house. They say malefics do well in dusthanas, and also they do well in upachaya houses. So if you have a third house Saturn, or a sixth house Saturn, or a 10th house or 11th house Saturn, or let's say you have a sixth, eighth, or 12th house Saturn, and if the Saturn is placed in its own sign, or in friendly sign, or in exaltation, not aspected by inimical planets or malefics, and doing decently well, well placed in the Navamsha, and in the Ashtaka chart, in the Sarva Ashtaka chart, if Saturn is contributing more points to the, let's say, second house, 11th house, all right, then you are going to get gains during Saturn Mahadasha. If Saturn is also indicating 10th house, or it is giving more points to the 10th house of the Sarva Ashtaka chart, let's say 30, 35, sorry, let's say 7 points or 8 points, that means Saturn Mahadasha, ultimately you're going to see growth. All right. So Kendras get affected, the basic fundamental pillars of your life is getting Saturn afflicted. So it becomes a little bit difficult. But anyhow, once you become 35, 36, Saturn matures and the hardship decreases, the phobias, the self doubts, the crisis, the battles, it comes down. All right. Because once you're 35, 36, Saturn has matured. So now Saturn is not going to give you that much amount of delays or toxic results compared to what it was giving you, let's say, when you were 25 years old, or let's say when you're 30 years old. All right. Saturn Rahu combination becomes a bit difficult because now Saturn and Rahu are conjunct with each other. Rahu matures at 42. So now your Saturn will actually mature and give you decent results at the age of 42 rather than 36. So it's another extension of few years of struggles. All right. But with Saturn Rahu, you have got the potential to make enormous amount of wealth and money, because Saturn Rahu is like black, anything which is abundant and hidden, including wealth and resources, right? And usually Saturn Rahu people, they have a lot of involvement in black money and dabbling with money which is not accounted for or something like that. All right. Then you have to understand that during the first 9.5 years of Saturn Mahadasha, you're going to undergo Capricorn results. All right. What is Capricorn results? Hard work, hard work, hard work. no expectation, no expectation, no expectation. कर्म किया जा, फल की चिंता मत कर. Keep working hard, keep working hard, keep working hard. Don't expect results. That is Capricorn results. So once you cross or complete the 9.5 years of Saturn Mahadasha's Capricorn result, then you're going to get the Aquarius result, because Aquarius has Satabisha nakshatra in it, which is a Rahu nakshatra in it. All right. So now you can talk about gains. All right. So the second half of Saturn Mahadasha is usually more smooth, or usually less hard work oriented compared to the first half of Saturn Mahadasha. So 19 years of Saturn Mahadasha divided by 2, 9.5 years each. First 9.5 years, a little bit difficult. Second 9.5 years, a little bit easy, because you have done your tapasya, you have done your penance, and now you're going to reap the results. All right. It's not that you're going to completely be doing hard work only and no results. No, it's not like that. You will see there is always development in the life of a person. There is no person in this world, if he is doing hard work, he is not going to the next level. All right. So if somebody is a cycle rickshaw puller, after 5 years of hard work, he'll become an electric rickshaw puller. And after 5 years of hard work, maybe he'll be able to buy a car, tourist car or something like that. So development is always there. You will see all the countries, all the remote places, and all the poor countries whose index is very poor, right? And the fiscal rate of growth and everything is very less. They are also slowly progressing. All right. So Saturn is delay of happiness and delay of resources, but it's not denial of happiness or not denial of resources. All right. Denial can be considered maybe with Ketu at times, not always. All right. So this is how Saturn Mahadasha works. All right. After Saturn Mahadasha, you see Jupiter is a benefic, Saturn Mahadasha it's a malefic, and then Mercury Mahadasha it's again a benefic, then Ketu it is again a malefic, and then Venus which is a benefic, then it is Sun which is a malefic, then it is it's Moon which is a benefic, and then Mars. So God not always wants you to suffer. That's why one malefic Mahadasha gets over, you're getting a benefic Mahadasha. Then that benefic Mahadasha is getting over, that's a relaxation time for you. Again, there is a malefic Mahadasha, right? Now, malefics and benefics vary according to your ascendant lord also, because Saturn can be a natural malefic but a functional benefic for you if you're, let's say, a Aquarius ascendant, all right, or let's say if you're a Libra ascendant, right? So it varies, and that's a long concept. We cannot cover everything in one video, all right? So what I'm trying to tell is that you have understood all these tactical points which you need to know about Saturn Mahadasha. Then we are entering into the remedies part. Okay. Now, if you have a debilitated Saturn, or if you have a Saturn with Ketu, or if you have a Saturn with Rahu, or let's say you've got a Saturn conjunct with a debilitated Sun, or your Saturn is placed in Mars nakshatra or Sun nakshatras or Ketu nakshatras, and the Saturn is afflicted in the Navamsha also, and let's say it's making connection with the 6th house or 8th house or 12th house, third house also a little bit. That means Saturn is a little bit problematic. Okay. Now, there are three ways of approaching this Saturn. All right. One is approaching Saturn by directly worshipping Saturn. Om Sham Saneshwaraya Namaha, or Nilanjana Samabhasam Raviputram Yavagrajam Chaya Martanda Sambhutam Tam Namami Shaneshwara. Alright. Or Om Pram Prim Praum Saneshwaraya Namaha. Alright. Mantras of Saturn. So this is one way of appeasing Saturn. The second is Pratikula method, that is, Saturn is wreaking havoc in your life, but let's say Sun is well placed in your horoscope, or Mars is well placed in your horoscope, or Jupiter is well placed in your horoscope, then you can empower Sun, Mars, or Jupiter as an anti party. All right. And by doing that, you can increase your benefic results, because Saturn has decided to do bad only in your chart based on conjunction, placements, and aspects. So now you are going to the opposite party. You are going to the enemy's enemy is your friend, right? So now you are going to Mars or Sun or Jupiter, whichever is well placed in your horoscope. And during Saturn Mahadasha, you can empower by wearing a gemstone or yantra or mantra, chanting the mantra. All right. Because there are certain combinations where, let's say, Saturn is Scorpio with Rahu or something like that, where there you cannot literally wear gemstones of Saturn, even in your left hand middle finger, to reduce the influence. At that time, you are going to go to Pratikula, which means anti-party of Saturn. All right. Then, so in a way, it is becoming Anukul only, because Saturn is your anti-party, and you're wearing gemstones of planets which are actually favorable for you. All right. So it comes under Anukul category only, but for Saturn it's a Pratikul. It's an anti. All right. I hope you're not confused. Okay. I am also not confused. After that, the last way of appeasing Saturn during Saturn Mahadasha is simple: by affecting, by helping either blind people or handicapped people or shelterless people or old people. What is common in these four categories? They are afflicted by Saturn, so they are slow. A blind person walks slowly with doubts. An old person is dependent and also walks slowly. A handicapped person is also Saturn afflicted. Little bit Ketu also, if there is no body part, there is a certain body part missing, but primarily slowed, Saturn afflicted. All right. So blind and shelterless, because what is shelter? Basic foundation of food, clothing. Because Saturn is dark age where people are like trying to survive for food, going for hunting and trying to get food on the table. So these four categories are Saturn afflicted people. All right. If you are donating some money, or if you are giving them some medical help or some physical help or any kind of contribution in their lives, Saturn will come and look at you and realize that, okay, hey, this guy is my guy. I should not be cruel on him more, because he's trying to help my kind of people and he's trying to balance out the karma. That is, you are letting go of your Saturn karma by helping people who are suffering more because of Saturn karma. All right. It's a transfer of energy. And then finally, you've got goddess Kali. All right. So goddess Parvati manifested into Das Mahavidya Devis, and among the Das Mahavidya Devi, goddess Kali is the controller of Shani. All right. So if you have extreme cases of Saturn affliction, go to goddess Kali. Go to any temple of goddess Kali, not Durga, not some other form, only goddess Kali. Give your name, your nakshatra and gotra to the temple priest, and monthly once on a Shukla Paksha Saturday, do a archana or puja in your name. All right. And by doing that archana or puja in your name, you will see that the Saturn affliction is comparatively coming down. Chant Kali Gayatri mantra regularly and worship goddess Kali. Chant any of her mantra, like simple mantras of goddess Kali, Mool mantra of goddess Kali, Bij mantra of goddess Kali. By doing that, you are basically going to the prime minister of Saturn and telling that, hey, this local MLA or MP is being a little bit way harsher compared to he should be. So please give me some shelter and protection. All right. Now, people who are Vaishnavites, they can worship Kurma avatar of Vishnu, the tortoise avatar, all right, of Vishnu. That is also Saturn, all right. Or let's say for people of other culture, other religion and community, all right, you can chant Bija mantras, all right, like the one I said. If you heard this video carefully, I said Om Sham Saneshwara Nama, you can chant Bija mantras. All right. When that is also not possible, then do donations and do charity to the category of people that I've told. And by doing all these, you will be able to successfully go through Saturn Mahadasha and enter into Mercury Mahadasha. All right. So this is how you have to approach, you have to understand, and you have to handle Saturn Mahadasha's energy in your life. I hope this video enlightened you. Subscribe to Purabs Universe if you have liked this video after watching in its entirety, and bless me, because I am going to enter into Saturn Ketu after 25th of Feb 2025, 1 year of Ketu. So bless me so that the universe and Ketu allows me to continue to make videos even during Ketu period, so that I can share my experiences and my knowledge genuinely with you. Adios, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Vande Mataram, Jai Mahakali.